the NewsChannel 5 network. This is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. Talking about the future of Nashville tonight and the two candidates vying for the second most powerful post in Metro government. We have with us both candidates for Vice Mayor. Happy to have with us Acting Vice Mayor Sheri Weiner. Thank you for being with us. And also Councilman at Large Jim Shulman. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Fascinating race. Appreciate both of you being here. We're going to talk about some of the issues. And it's just really an opportunity for people to call in with questions they may have and for us to get to know you both better. So again, thank you for being here. I want to start with kind of a broad question. And Jim, I'll start with you, then Sheri will go to you. A lot of people don't know exactly what Vice Mayor does. It's an important position. We just saw that recently. But how can you as Vice Mayor make Nashville better? And I'll just start with you.
Sure, thank you. So most people don't know, again, what the Vice Mayor is, or most people think the Vice Mayor is elected by the council. So when you go out and talk to voters, they go, what? And then they want to know what you do. And so mainly the Vice Mayor runs the council meetings. They pick the committee chairs, they pick the committee members. But I think it can do a little bit more. So by the use of special committees, by the use of using the committees and the power of the role of the Vice Mayor, you can actually try to direct some of the issues to be looked at and reviewed. Use the committee structure a lot more than we have been. For example, on the Budget Committee, we spent a lot of time obviously talking about issues regarding financial matters. But I think we should use the Budget Committee to actually start looking at the budget all the way through, because we just had a very difficult budget. So I would like to see the Budget Committee start reporting every month on whether we're doing well with our budget or we're not meeting expectations, so that we don't wait until March or April or May to start panicking over a budget. So I think the power of the Vice Mayor is in helping to focus the issues for the council, focusing committees to address those issues, and not talking so much. What I really want to do is see if we do this, particularly if we pick special committees, we give them 2 months and they have to come back and report. So we don't...
Kind of moving things along.
We've got 1 year left on this term. We have issues to address, affordable housing. We still have traffic problems. I want to see action. And I think we can drive that.
I'll ask about both those things. I was going to ask you the same thing. How can you as Vice Mayor make Nashville better?
I think we need to change the conversation and the tone of the conversation especially. There's so much acrimony in the community and people are talking at each other instead of with and to each other. And I really feel like people have more similarities than they do differences, and we need to capitalize on that notion. And so the role of Vice Mayor, I see, is using the folks in the council as the community representatives to help engage conversation across the city and use their position within their community to bring people together and to start having a conversation about affordable housing, about public safety, about something simple like getting along, and not being so acrimonious, and let's see if we can't capitalize on our strengths and on our challenges and turn them into something positive that's good for everybody in the community. And that can also be facilitated through the chairmanships and through who we put on the committees and who chooses to step up and be somebody that's proactive so that the committees become more effective.
So as Vice Mayor, you would both control who the committee chairs and what goes before the committees.
Right.
And that's very powerful. So this is a very important position. Do you have a philosophy when it comes to that? When it comes to appointing people and what issues should come up? And I'll start with you this time. I mean, what about a philosophy there?
So my philosophy, I use a business-centric lens because I do medical practice consulting. That's my day job. And so one of those things that you look at when you're trying to put people together and get things done is a profile, if you will, a set of criteria for who you would want to have in that role. And so for me, my priority is to say, let's all sit down together, let's come up with our list of priorities, and the people that we're going to look to take leadership roles and go into the committee structure would be somebody who doesn't mind reaching across the aisle, so to speak. Somebody who doesn't mind speaking with people of great diversity and sitting down and having those conversations. Somebody who doesn't mind rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty. Somebody that doesn't mind taking that extra time to take a deep dive into things like transit, things like affordable housing, and especially our budget. Because, so for example, our budget today is over 700 pages long, and that's without supporting documentation. It was written based on a budget that was 10 pages long. That's a big, great disparity, and our process needs to be updated.
We're going to talk a lot about the budget, because that is one of those issues, but I want to ask you the same question. It's such an important job. Yeah. You're going to be assigning committee chairs, really directing legislation in a lot of ways. What's your philosophy when it comes to that?
So, I think from day one, if I get elected, I'm going to demand action. Again, we got 1 year left on this council term. I want people who are going to step up, people who understand that we have 1 year left, and we need to quit talking so much and quit studying everything so much, but we need to deal with issues. So I'm looking for people who are interested in that, who are interested in the subject, and who are willing to say, let's go. I think you know, in terms of how I hire people, you know, at my job, I'm looking for people who really are committed. They may not have all the experience in the subject area. I want good people who are willing to move the agenda. And so I think in terms of picking committee chairs, I'm looking for folks who have shown the willingness and are interested in really pushing the agenda.
I'd be interested in getting both of your opinions on just kind of where we are. I mean, I'm interested to hear you say that we're divided. We certainly are nationally. You see that everywhere you turn. Turn to another channel. I don't recommend it right now, but you'll see it. We're divided. My question is, what do you see us here in Davidson County? Are we that divided? Is it some level lower? What are the issues that you think most divide us? I'll start with you this time, but kind of an assessment of where we are in our political here in Davidson County.
Okay. So I served on the council before as a district council member, and then took some time off, then got back on. I've noticed it. I've noticed it both on the council and then outside and Nashville is a wonderful place and full of wonderful people, very friendly people. But it's hard to get people to sit down and talk to each other. And, you know, whether it came from the national level, whether it came from Washington, we can't get people to talk to one another, and that's so important. Okay, so not pinning everything on Washington, we can't seem to get people to cross the aisle and talk to one another like they used to. Okay, the same thing applies here. If we're having problems talking to one another, whether it's on issues as important as the Community Oversight Board, which is obviously pending right now, and people won't come to the table to talk about that issue, then we're just if we're just ignoring the problem. And look, Ben, I've been around a long time. I'm getting to the point where I want to take action. We cannot kick these things down the road. It is too important to the city to bring people together on issues like that. I'll give you another example. We were trying to find some compromise on a budget matter a couple months ago when we were taking up the budget. And it was a simple thing. We were kind of stuck in between two things, and it's like, well, what about kind of something in the middle? And people yelled at me. It's like, how dare you even think of compromising? So, you know, I think Sheri and I both probably share the same thing. You have to have a leader that brings people together. We have got to talk. We have got to work together, because that's the only way you get things done.
And your assessment as well. And it's not partisan per se. I mean, they're not Democrat and Republicans in the Metro Council by DNR. What is your assessment of where we are here in Davidson County?
I have to probably be the wrinkle in the room, and there's so much partisanship in the room and in this community that it's disheartening to see Democrats and Republicans, independents, all of us get stuck in traffic. We all pay taxes, we all want safety, we all want security, and we want amenities. We want to have good quality of life. We need a community that's livable. And there was a study done many years ago, I can't even call up the year it was done, but there were people in a room who were of very disparate perspectives, and they paired them up in a warehouse, just randomly put them in a warehouse and gave them a beer. And they said, just get to know each other. And then they took it a step further and were able to address difficult issues that they knew those two people were going to be like this and very normally acrimonious. Well, guess what? They were able to sit down and work through and find common ground because they looked at each other differently. And I think that if we take that lens of partisanship and put it aside and look at the very things that draw us together, the same interests that we have, whether you're independent, Republican, Democrat, we all have the basic interests that are similar. We love this country. We love our friends. We love our family. We want the same things. So let's grow from that, and let's sit down and get past it and find a way to have real, true conversation and know that we're just people who want the same things.
So they're telling me I have to take a break, but 30 seconds for each of you, essentially, you know, broadly, 30 seconds, whatever. Are we past that point? I feel like we're past that point in Washington. Are we past that point in Davidson County? And if not, how can we not be past that point in Davidson County? What can you do, and then I'll ask you, Jay, what can you do to make sure we're not past that point, that we're not Washington?
I think that if you have government officials who can sit down and set the example, that we can do that and utilize the members of the council to do the same and let people watch us engage one another in a real way that sets those things aside and lose some of the bickering and the angst in the room around who they think you might be instead of who you are, and look past that and sit down and really talk. And if we set that example and we show that Nashville's better than this, then I think that that's going to resonate with the community. And quite frankly, also getting things done and answering these questions.
What do you think, Jim?
So again, I think you have to lead by example. One of the first things that I would want to do if elected vice mayor would be to pick a special committee to look at school safety. Okay, a major concern, a major issue in this country. Our kids are supposed to go to school to learn, and now we have to worry about making sure they're all protected. Okay, so we're all on the same page on that. So let's start using things like that. We bring together our council, we bring together the school board, we get the mayor's office engaged. We make sure that we have done everything we can to keep our kids safe in school. We're all on the same page, hopefully, on that. There should be nobody who's contrary to that. We want our kids safe. So you start working together to figure out how to do it. You lead by example, you bring people together on issues where we can start working together, you learn from that, and then you tackle other issues.
All right, we're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back, talk about the budget, our fiscal situation, and some of the other big issues, affordable housing, traffic, all of that. And we'll take calls. So take a break. Be back right after this.